Enjoy the show.
Beaming at you from the depths of the internet.
This is the Temple of Geek Podcast, your one stop for all things geek.
Welcome to the Temple of Geek Podcast. My name is Kari, and I will be your host as we share our thoughts on Secret Invasion episodes 1 and 2. If you haven't watched the show, save this episode for later and come back because there are going to be spoilers. If this is your first time tuning into the Temple of Geek Podcast, welcome. The Temple of Geek Podcast has been around since 2012 and is hosted by various geeks from the Temple of Geek team. Here we cover all manner of geek and pop culture news and events. To our returning listeners, thank you again for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here. So, let me introduce our amazing guest. Today we have some really cool people coming on. These are like super huge comic book nerds. Very knowledgeable, and they're also happen to be really good friends of mine. So, guys, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. Can you briefly introduce yourselves to the listeners and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Oh, dear. Okay. Let's see what I can remember for today. I am Star Wars fact guy, but don't let the name fool you. I know quite a bit about Marvel as well. I've got my little super Skrull here to help me out today, just in case I do forget anything. You can find me on TikTok at Star Wars Fact Guy. You can find me on YouTube at Star Wars Fact Guy. And now, for the first time ever, you can find me on Instagram at Star Wars Fact Guy with a little underscore on either side for underscore gang.
Hi, everyone. I am Marvelous Johnny. That is Marvelous spelt with 2 L's because I'm a Canadian. And yeah, no, Marvelous is in the name for a reason. I am a big fan of Marvel Comics, but also DC, whole bunch of other nerdy things, Star Wars as well. And with me today, to help me remember some of the facts, I have a Disney Infinity Nick Fury figure with me. Yeah, we're doing that.
Thanks for that, Johnny. And last but not least, David, welcome.
I am Xanatos1138 on all social media, mostly TikTok and Twitter. I talk about Marvel and Star Wars, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Awesome. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. You guys are awesome. So I can't wait for this conversation. So we got to see the first 2 episodes of Secret Invasion. Craziness. I want to have your first impressions, guys. What did you think off the bat about these first 2 episodes? Tate?
Wow, okay. So, for context, I was pretty jazzed about Secret Invasion as a whole. I mean, we got a lot of content coming up between Phase 4 and Phase 5, and, love it or hate it, they're playing around a lot with genres and different styles of storytelling, but Secret Invasion definitely looked up my alley. Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Civil War, those are some of my favorite pieces of MCU content. So that same kind of tone, I was really intrigued by how they were going to match it on a television scale. And with these first 2 episodes, I think they really knocked it out of the park. I think it was small and intimate enough to be its own self-contained story, but it's not afraid to tie into the larger MCU, the consequences, the ramifications, the way they tied it throughout the mythology of the characters, especially Nick Fury. I thought this was a fantastic start. And if the next 4 episodes can keep it up, it's definitely going to be in the upper hierarchy when it comes to MCU TV. I really, for what the up and down quality we've had for the past couple of years, this really was at the top of that for me.
Awesome. Johnny?
My overall thoughts, just like from hearing that we were getting a Secret Invasion show, I was like, is this just purely Skrulls or like what's happening here? To find out that it was solely a Nick Fury story was very interesting, and I do love that because my first introduction to Secret Invasion as a concept was the Earth's Mightiest Heroes TV show, actually. And that one, deep down in like its heart, was very much a unseen Fury story. So to see him at the forefront of the MCU version of it is very encouraging, and I love that so much. And yeah.
Awesome. David?
With Secret Invasion, with a lot of this comic book stuff, I usually read the source material in or around the MCU announcing it. Like, I'm not really well-versed in the comic side of things often, but seeing the show and seeing the style of it being like a Jason Bourne or Jack Ryan style, I was hooked immediately. Like, I love that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I think the same thing for me. I'm not a comic book nerd. I haven't read any of the comics. If anything, if I know anything, it's from you, guys like you that are really into it. That's where I get my information from. But just coming off just those 2 first episodes, I was completely hooked. It was like, to me, it has that Andor feel. I know we said that before. Also, the same tone, bringing in the same tone as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is a more darker, serious tone. Very high stakes, I think it's already shown us. And just the fact that it's like a spy thriller type of thing, it's just so freaking compelling to me in that way. Being that Fury is like one of my really cool, favorite characters. I absolutely love that this is going to be focusing on him. And I love that we're getting to see him like kind of being trodden down. I guess that's the word.
Mhm.
Like we're going to see him struggling, not only, physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So, and inner struggles is one of my favorite things in a story. So that really, yeah, I'm really excited for this. So let's get into the first episode. That was quite an introduction, especially with that ending.
I was
Yeah.
texting you
Man.
the moment it ended. I'm like, oh my
Man.
god.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, when the guys see this, they're gonna fucking flip out. I'm sorry if I'm cursing, but whatever. It's true though. Tate, talk to a little bit about what your thoughts were
So
on
I
the
got
first episode.
no. That's a great thing. So I've divided my notes into episode 1 and episode 2, right?
Oh no, I mean
And the first thing I have for episode 1 is that it opens on MCU Tate, which is Everett Ross, which is for all intents and purposes, anytime he shows up in a story, he is the token white guy that's just happy to be there. And I'm like, wow, that's just me. No, I was very jazzed to see it. Again, like we were talking about incorporating the larger mythology into the story. Secret Invasion, for all intents and purposes, is a big story that I don't think you can have a lot of leeway with trying to get away doing in a smaller scale. So I respect that the show really took the effort to bringing in these supporting characters from other films like Black Panther and
Iron Man.
the Iron Man films with Rhodey and whatnot, to kind of give a little bit of like a cast that this conspiracy is going to go around. So seeing Ross, I thought, was a great way to establish that at the beginning. Like, okay, it's all the pockets of the MCU are being affected. Then they fucking shot him and he was a Skrull. And I was like, But there's a line. No, there's a line where Maria Hill's like Agent Ross's imposter. And I was like, was he not? Or how long was he kidnapped and taken away and replaced? That's going to be on the top of my mind. But I was very heartbroken about that.
My thing is that it puts into question, like, what is the state of Ross's character in the MCU after Wakanda Forever? Because I thought he was safe in Wakanda. I didn't think he was working for anyone. I thought he was just chilling there with, like, Bucky was for a while.
Yeah, right? But I guess after Wakanda Forever, when he's kind of on the run from the CIA, the Skrulls just, like,
simmed him.
Put him away. Yeah, so quite a way to open it up, to be honest. And then it had to, first episode kind of needed to do kind of the rhythms of a pilot. It had to kind of go through all the necessary beats, lay down the railroad tracks so you can ride the train to the finale. Just again, the way that they established the scope of the story, all the little references that tie in and kind of allow you to piece together what's been going on with Fury from where we last saw him, which I think was in the credit scene from Far From Home.
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
If Johnny can fact check me on that, yeah.
Yeah.
So from there to now, seeing the seeds of that and slowly unraveling not only the mystery of the Skrulls, but the mystery of Fury himself and where he's been and what he's been up to. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Thoroughly enjoyed the way they incorporated the different perspectives of Olivia Colman's character, Maria Hill's character, and with what Kari was saying, kind of the idea that the show really looks at the myth and the legend of Nick Fury, the hero, Nick Fury, the super spy, and how at the age that he's at right now, where he's a little bit older, he's a little bit more worn down, everyone expects so much of him, but he doesn't know what to expect of himself after Infinity War. And I thought for me, that was my favorite part of episode 1. The actual consequences for the personal stakes. I thought by far that was my favorite thing they did.
Yeah, that was really cool. Johnny, any
Yeah,
thoughts?
no, I was just thinking because, like, the stakes since Infinity War, like, we've seen slightly what the blip has done to people, but to see, like, this very big deep dive was very needed, I think, because for Fury in this sense, it's not just a case of, like, I missed 5 years. There's this 5 years where I have not caught up, and now I'm behind on what I'm usually used to. He is a character who's always prepared. Imagine if you took Batman and then he just didn't know what was happening, pretty much, because Nick Fury is very much a character who's, like, in touch with almost everything. So
Yeah.
I love that character work for him. I was very happy to see Maria Hill back. We'll get to that part later, though, because Colby Smulders.
That's a separate conversation.
Yeah, just the actress from Canada. Very happy to see her, Vancouver, in fact, and then just to see her harangue Nick and to get him back on the rightful path. I think the correct path was very nice, and then we'll get to what happens later.
David.
I like the time they spent with each character, and like you kind of see where they're at, see what they've been doing, see where the Skrulls are at. They haven't found a new home yet, so like that's a whole problem. And then and Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn like acted their asses off. They
have
were
such good
phenomenal.
chemistry.
It was so good. And then like seeing that whole part with Ross being revealed as a Skrull, I mean, it was like, okay, somebody tell me how long he's been a Skrull. I need to know this information. I need to know he hasn't been a Skrull the entire time.
Remember what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. No, because I want to start off with that point that David said about Ross being a Skrull, because that IGN review that you showed us was like, oh, but it didn't feel like any big reveals happened, and I'm like, number one reveal was Ross. How much? What else do you need? Like, sir, like, because it is. I mean, like you said, like everybody's, all of you guys said, it's just a big like. So since when has he not been there? When did he get taken? Was he the one in Wakanda forever? So that's like a really, really big. That was really a big reveal for me. I was like, damn, but they took my Ross away. But favorite white boy.
Exactly.
But
it doesn't count as a big reveal unless it has very loud music and someone staring you into the camera, telling you.
Yeah,
and there's just a moment of pause just so that the audience can cheer.
Yeah. We're not gonna mention names, but yeah.
I think with the story of the scale, it's like, again, like we were all kind of saying about how personal and intimate it is. I think as audiences, to temper expectations and not expect, especially if you're coming from a place of background knowledge like Johnny and I, like we're not the kind of guys that are going to be like, oh man, every Avenger needs to be here because that's how Secret Invasion was in the comics. It is very much what they've kind of been retooling with, if you are a comic fan, things like Meet the Skrulls and the new Secret Invasion mini that they put out.
I love Meet the Skrulls.
It's so good. It's very so much playing on that Cold War Red Scare kind of like, you can't trust your neighbor, that kind of paranoia. And that's really where it hits the mark with the show, for sure.
That's really cool. Another thing that I love that how we start off in the first episode with, again, Fury, bringing Fury back into the conversation, was that it shows how he has PTSD. He actually has, he's actually traumatized. And of course, he doesn't show it. He's trying to act like he has still everything in control and everything. But everybody else can see it. They're being so dismissive with him. Putting him into the side like, oh, that's it, you're done. What else are you gonna do? Everybody else, we already have other people handling it and everything. So I love that they're showing that inner struggle with him, how he's so internally he's trying to keep it together. Also, the introduction of Gaia, that's how you say her name? Gaia,
I think
right?
so.
Gaia or Gaia?
It's Gaia,
I think.
Gaia. Okay.
For sure it was Gaia.
I love that, and obviously I'm a big fan of Emilia Clarke. She's awesome.
So beautiful.
Gorgeous. And it was really cool seeing also that it's Talos and her had that falling out as well, father and daughter dynamic there. So that's another little conflict, side conflict that we have going on there with them too. Yeah. Finding out that Talos' wife Soren actually got, she actually died.
She didn't
and
know.
it seems
That was
like, the whole thing that she didn't know, and apparently Gravik had to do something with that. The introduction of Gravik, our main, villain in this story. That was really cool seeing, what it is that he's capable of, the lengths that he's gone through to get what he wants, and and how he has all these other Skrulls basically on his side. I don't thinking that we gotta eliminate everybody else because this is gonna be a new home. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it kind of ties into episode 2 stuff, so I won't like go into it too heavy, I reckon. But just the kind of idea where, again, the small scale of the story, you don't have the creative liberty to do all like the big things, but the idea that Gravik is so intelligent that he could play the humans off of each other because they're that susceptible to just being like vicious and mean spirited and horrible, and that to impersonate a human is to just be as horrible and vile as they are and deceptive. I thought that was a really nice touch that he was able to pick that up just by being on Earth for like a little bit.
Yeah. And honestly, just you mentioned the whole Red Scare thing earlier with Meet the Skrulls, and just this series alone is very much it preys on people's Red Scare fear, I've noticed. Especially even now with our current state of the world. When I was watching this, I'm like, oh God, what is this going to invoke for us here?
Yeah.
Because some of this is very real, to say the least.
Yeah. And also, you know, the whole fact about the what's it called? The Black Flag operations. That basically they're the ones created that those conflicts and those terrorist attacks and stuff just to get people against each other. In this case, it's Russia against is it Russia against the United States? Yeah, Russia against,
Americans
which is
against
like so
Russians,
on brand because right now with real world events, that's basically something that's going on. So it hits very close to home over here. With that.
Yeah, for sure.
It is scary.
Yes, it definitely is. But and I also love how they showed that how you know, a little bit more Skrull lore of how they are able to, you know, basically transform into other people and how they do and how they take them, like basically they just go touch them and get all their memories and stuff like that. I don't know if that's is that how they do it in the
it's like,
is that how they do it in the comics?
Not really, no. It was more. I think Johnny can also like, correct me on this if I'm wrong, but like comic Skrulls, they had to really like mimic and act and try and fill the void of what was there.
Pretty much, yeah. There were gaps within their knowledge in the comics for sure.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you would usually figure it out. Like a little bit like it was back in the first Captain Marvel film, because we have that scene of Carol talking to Fury.
Yeah.
And going like, you know, what's the weirdest little fact about you? I can't have toast if it's cut diagonally. Or when Jan Rog was interrogating the false version of Carol, and it was like, what? Whose blood was it just pumping through you right now? You know, little details like that.
Yeah. So you think this is something that that they developed throughout the years of, you know, figuring out how to expand their way of, you know, being able to turn into that person?
I mean, the technology we saw them using in Secret Invasion was the same kind that I'm pretty sure we saw being used on Carol back in Captain Marvel. So I feel like the technology's definitely evolved over the times, right?
Yeah.
The memory machine,
yeah. So, you know, you see a bit more of the details and everything. But like before that, they could, at least in the MCU wise, they could just merely transform. They couldn't really recall memories, right? So now they've introduced like the whole touching of the forehead thing, and now it works like that. So,
but they need to be in that machine in order for that to work, though. You see how they put it in the thing?
Think so? Yeah, because we see, they can just clearly change on the go with the main villain. What's his name again?
Gravik.
Yeah.
There we go. My bad. I was gonna say Gravitack. I'm like, that's not it. That's a Ben 10 alien. But yeah, no, Gravik is able to change on the go, so it's clearly something they're able to do, right?
Yeah, and they had that little piece as well about how it's funny because part of me laughs because this is very obviously like we have a budget to keep for the show, but in order to maintain the disguise and make it more authentic, they have to stay for a human as long as possible. So that's why the majority of the main Skrull characters are in human form the whole time, because that's the way that you can get away with being a Skrull for that long, where like all the nuances and stuff kind of slip down the wayside, which I thought was pretty cool. It makes perfect sense, and it saves the money.
Yeah, saves the money. Even then, like the practical costuming and just makeup for the Skrulls that we saw was stunning. To this day, I'm still shocked that there's little to no CGI used on Skrulls when they're just in their base form.
And there were so many extras in New Skrullos as well. Like even little kids and stuff. It was
so good.
Yeah. That was really, really cute. Yeah. We also got introduced to the compound. They're in where is it?
Russia, some part of it.
No, they're not in
It's-
Russia.
Was it London? I don't.
No. They're in somewhere where
I think
radiation is like super high.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
somewhere in
abandoned.
Siberia, right?
Yeah, right. Because they
Okay.
said radiation. I was like, oh, they're gonna live in Chernobyl or something.
Yeah,
'Cause-
it was
It
definitely
was
something
somewhere
like
around
that.
there. It's
Yeah.
somewhere near Russia.
Yeah.
It's not in Russia, but it's one of those bordering countries that has like, it's off
Abandoned,
limits
yeah.
because of radiation and stuff. So that was really cool
Yeah.
that they have like a whole compound.
They pulled the Transformers 3.
Yeah,
I got that reference. I got that.
We find out that there's a Skrull council as well that Gravik is part of. in
Which I
this
found
episode.
really interesting because in the comics, the Skrulls are ruled by a queen. Her name's Queen Varenki. So for them to not even have a queen at all threw some of my theories out the window, funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn it.
And we also got introduced to her name is Sonya. She's from what is it, MI6?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Right?
think so.
she's
Little
British intelligence.
Badass. Yeah, she's definitely British, but she's a little badass. I
She
was like,
ate.
damn.
She ate
Yo,
every
so-
single scene she was
She
in.
was
was just
so
so
cold
calm.
and so
Yes.
funny. I loved it. But it was like, it
she
just made
was,
it so much more
calm and
scary.
calculating. I was like, damn. But Fury still had it in him. Got the little camera to spy on her and stuff. So that was
That's the
pretty
thing. I
cool.
think
liked
she
that whole
knows.
thing.
I feel like she knows.
You think so?
I feel like she's
Yeah.
gotta.
I mean, she knows
way-
Fury, so she knows they're gonna be like at each other like that. So
The way she phrased was more like, if you're going to be in my way, you're going to be a distraction and I will shoot through you, but like, I don't want to kind of line.
I was like,
That's-
oh my god. Yeah.
No, she was fantastic. I genuinely hope we see more of her. I don't see Olivia Colman doing that role for like the next 10 years or so, but
I'm
whatever we
waiting
get
for the
from her.
moment we
show,
find out
yeah.
she is a Skrull, though, because somewhere
I
in
hope
deep in my
not.
bones, I feel like she is.
No, please don't.
But when we get to episode 2, I'll be like, I'll say why not. And then we also got Rhodey, and
Yes.
he's playing.
Yeah.
He's now an advisor to the president of the United States.
Boot munch.
Governmental puppet.
Yeah, yeah, he is.
Which is
sucks.
awesome though, because I love that. Again, this isn't a show that's trying to follow like a strict formula or guideline or like an A to B to C. So characters that are good characters or good people are doing morally questionable things, which is like again comic classic like spy trope, right? So to see
Yeah.
Rhodey kind of on the not opposing end, but kind of like in that gray area of like, listen, we are our own third party in this, and we'll do whatever it takes. Really awesome.
Yeah.
And Don Cheadle, good actor, really damn good
So
actor.
good.
Oh yeah, no, he's awesome. He's awesome. The way he came at Fury in that restaurant. Was it in this
Yeah.
episode? Awesome.
It was
Next
in
one.
second episode.
Oh,
Next
okay,
one.
so what?
Yeah.
That hurt my heart.
But yeah, no.
And we get to the very crazy ending
Very
of
big end.
episode 1. Fury figured out the whole thing. Well, supposedly Gaia came and told Talos about the bombings, right?
Yeah.
And we thought, hey, she's working with them. At least she had a change of heart. We get to the ending, the bombs still go off. It was a whole misdirect.
She was capping.
And yes, totally capping. Well, it seems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everything goes on, craziness ensuing, and then Maria's there, Fury's there, everybody's there trying to like stop everything. And Gravik comes in, super smooth, changing his appearance, and just shoots Maria.
Yeah. In
No
that first
hesitation.
moment, I thought it was Fury shooting a Skrull who was
Yeah.
Maria. That was my first reaction. I'm like, oh, that's a Skrull. And I saw Fury looking, and I'm like, oh no. He was the Skrull.
Yeah, fuck. It was cold as hell because I mean, I need to watch this scene again because I wasn't really focusing on how like it was played from like an acting perspective. It very much felt to me kind of like that scene in Logan where Professor X is killed by X-24.
Yeah.
But he's at the point in his kind of like state of mind where it's ambiguous whether or not he knows it's X-24 or whether he thinks it's Logan putting him down, right?
Yeah.
I don't know whether Maria knew if that was the real Nick Fury or not. And if it's played for the sense of like he didn't know if she was the real Maria Hill and that's why he shot her, that makes it like 20 times more tragic. So I'm going to need to run it back and watch that again.
That's what I was hoping for originally as well. I'm just like,
for
oh.
Gravik to do
No.
that though, deliberately on purpose, that's cold. That's cold.
It would have been
No,
interesting if they had
it
done it
was.
as like a Fury is so paranoid that he accidentally shot Maria thinking she was a Skrull or something like that. That would have been so
Fuck.
tenseful,
That's dark.
honestly. And dark.
Man, internet would not be happy.
No, but
Just to
I'm
know
gonna-
that Gravik
I
is in
think
his head.
I think I have an answer for that. When Fury came to her,
I got it, I got
but
it.
when he came to Maria and like picked her up, she said, "It was you. It was you." Like saying that, "Oh,
Yeah.
but you were the
Right.
one that shot me." She thought it was. I think she thought it was Fury for real. And then
I think
like,
she
before-
knows it wasn't him by the end of it.
No. Yeah, by the
Yeah.
end, she realized
yeah.
it wasn't. Yeah, but at first, when he came to her, she was saying like, "Oh, it was you. It was you." I was like, "Oh, she really thought Fury would kill her like that." I was like, "No, Maria." But then she figured it out, and then she legitimately died. Like, I can't believe they actually killed. Like, that was
Quickly too. Like
yes.
She bled
Yeah.
out in
Don't
record
hesitate.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I was like, that was a bold move to kill.
it does
you know,
lead me
Maria,
to
like,
one of my issues though so far that's been set up with these first 2 episodes that we've only seen. Like, I don't know, like I know there's 4 more episodes to be seen to
Yeah.
truly critique this film to this degree. But with the death of Talos's wife and the death of Maria Hill, it does feel like fridging
yeah.
because Maria Hill, in comparison to her comic book counterpart, and even just by her own merits in the MCU, I don't feel like she's been developed enough. Like, it still hit me, but
Yeah.
like I have to question whether or not it's because I like Colby Smulders or it's because if I'm truly just that attached to Maria Hill. And then the death of Talos's wife, we know very little of her. We've seen her twice in Captain Marvel and in Far From Home. And those are those were the things that were sticking out in my head by the end of the first episode alone. So
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. I really have to stop thinking whenever I see an actor or actress that I really enjoy, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so glad you're getting work," because they usually die at the end of that thought.
is this your fault, David?
I also
Touch wood.
I loved her character. And like I saw her on like a red carpet thing. She looked super happy to be there. So I'm just
Oh my
like,
God, that's
please
right.
tell me, please tell me that she's in more than just like okay. So it would kind of like diminish the whole sacrifice for Fury if she were somehow still alive somehow. But I
Yeah.
also don't care because I really want her back.
Her coming back is one death I'm okay with them just going like, gotcha.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I would prefer, I would prefer her being there just because, like, again, it's a very bold move, and to like to have her.
I
just, like,
respect
get
I
killed
respect
off
the
like that.
stones on them to do that because I mean, especially at this point when people are like, "Oh, MCU is not risky anymore." Like, this is pretty risky, and
Yeah,
it's definitely it's an interesting point of topic. And I thought about it as well, Johnny, in the sense of like that's especially when they said that Talos's wife died off screen. I'm like,
Right?
You know what we call that? You know what we call that? Where we come from?
In the comic
That's
book
the fridging
industry.
word.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a very nuanced discussion and not one that I'm really equipped to like partake in beyond a spectator perspective. But it's the question of whether every time a female character dies, is that fridging or is that development? But I definitely think in this case you can make a strong argument towards the fridging aspect of it.
Yeah.
But
Do you think
it all depends.
Yeah. Do you think maybe we'll get to see that story? Because like now that like, we could get into the second episode. In the second episode, we get this flashback. Now we started with this flashback. See how they're retelling the stories and stuff. Do you think we'll get that eventually in some of the next episodes?
I
And
hope
you can
so.
let
We
us
do,
know
yeah.
what it
Because
was. You know,
We saw a bit of Talos's wife in that second episode's flashback, but it was like very limiting, and I don't even think she had any lines from what I remember.
She was just chilling
Like
there,
the head.
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she was
just
just
there.
stood there and then transforms, and then Fury says thank you, and that's really it, right?
yeah.
No.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that we get that story because we need to know what was it exactly that
Yeah,
happened with
and
her.
I'm really
Because-
hoping that she gets a badass moment or anything like that. Just anything more for her character.
Because if Talos is saying that it was Gravik's fault,
Yeah.
and that he was the one that did it, so
That it was his
what are you
organization
talking about?
that
Yes.
Gaia celebrated.
Yeah.
Yes. So, episode 2, we start off with a flashback back to 1995.
Yes,
this
a few years after the first Captain Marvel film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
one or
you
two.
know, we get to see Fury making this pact with the Skrulls, talking about if you help me out, you know, infiltrate and do the spine and all that stuff, me and Captain Marvel and I are going to go and find your new home.
Mm-hmm.
We got this. You got my word. Everybody's on board. Everybody's excited. And we get introduced to Gravik as a little kid.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That was very
Gaia
nice to
as
see.
a little bit grown up as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool. That was in London, I think, right? Yeah.
Garrick's
parents got killed fighting, I guess, in the war that wherever.
Yeah, during while the Kree were invading Skrulls.
Yeah. Oh, we got to see what happened. What the Skrulls did right after Captain Marvel movie, right? Because they did leave.
They left.
In the ship.
And then they came back.
And then they went over there. Yeah, they had to come back because there was a whole crazy war going on or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Which one of my favorite themes of this film is this series is the fact that it is very much a story of being a refugee. A displaced refugee at that.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite aspects about the first Captain Marvel film, as to why I love it so much, more than most people, honestly, is the fact that the first Captain Marvel film is an excellent story about colonialism, in my opinion, and how the victims are so easily made to look like savages and victims within the narrative. And that, so like one of my favorite things in the MCU is the role reversal of the Skrulls. So to now have this turned into a refugee story and how the pain and suffering and how a lack of empathy from the areas or from the places you're trying to go to for security, for safety, for a sense of belonging doesn't really care about you, how it still like mistreats you and in many cases still uses you is one of the best things about this series that I'm loving right now.
But the crazy thing is that nobody even knows that they're there. The only person that knew about the Skrulls was Fury. Nobody still knows about any of them.
Yeah,
you know, like that.
I mean, there was that scene where like Rhodey was saying something like how the American government had like an idea of what of a Skrull, but that was pretty much it.
Which is crazy that it was kept, like they were kept in secret this whole time, like that. Like they were
especially with the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Winter Soldier. I feel like would that have been something that got out? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, what the most interesting part of episode 2 was, and what kind of sold me on the show as a whole, going off of the pilot and everything, was something I didn't really piece together. And please feel free to correct me if I speak incorrectly or like misspeak on my words here. But I never really understood the idea of why Nick Fury would want to help them until the fact that I realized that him tying his experiences as a black man growing up in the civil rights as an outsider within like American society, comparing that to the Skrulls as refugees in American society and the way that they're persecuted and downtrodden on. And like Johnny said, they were made to be, it's the savage Skrulls that are like ravaging the galaxy.
By the Kree.
Yeah, that distinction, that connection, especially in the conversation they have on the train where he's speaking about him and his mother in like the black section of the train and how what they had to go through.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. That was so good. That was excellent.
And then to have it tied back to his conversation with Rhodey about being black in America.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe that's why so many people don't like the series now.
Those two conversations were my favorite part of the episode. Like,
hands
I loved
down.
about that.
Yeah.
See what happens when shows are like not afraid to sit down and talking moments, you know?
Yeah.
Actually just have conversation.
In the same tone as Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because again, in Falcon, we also have this story of, you know, these displaced refugees, you know, the people that were from the, you know, during the blip. And now when everybody came back, you know, again, they were displaced, taken to the side, seen as, you know, terrorists because they're trying to, you know, defend themselves and trying to find their own home and everything. So I like that they're continuing the same thing there.
Yeah. And just the sheer number, there's 1 million Skrulls.
Yeah.
Next thing. I like how they first said, Talos was like, oh yeah, they're scattered across the galaxy. Then they're like, nah, never mind. I lied to you. They're actually all here on Earth.
Which makes sense too.
Yeah, it was a brilliant like little twist for where Talos was like, dude, you were gone. Like, I didn't know what to do, and you didn't keep your promise. Like, I told him to book it to Earth. Yeah,
he was a leader. He did the hard thing, and he looked out for his own people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is
I mean,
fantastic.
what are you supposed to do, especially when you were promised this huge thing of having been able to like get a home for yourself, and then the dude that promised you just left, and I was like, okay, the fuck. What are we supposed to do? So I understand where the Skrulls are coming from. Is like, well, the ones that are doing all the bad stuff, but they have a reason. I don't condone it, but I understand why they're doing what they're doing.
The beauty of nuance and storytelling. Crazy concept.
It's not all black and white, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see if people are able to, you know, well, they didn't
They won't.
To apply critical thinking to this series. I doubt
Media
it.
literacy is dead.
Have you seen how people are reacting to Across the Spider-Verse?
I have no faith in the general public, but I also can't wait to see it. Just
they have a meltdown again.
I can't wait for
those
people.
Conversations that you guys said about what that Rhodey had with Fury about living as a person of color.
I'm calling it now. People are going to say
different.
it's too political. It's too slow. It's too hard.
absolutely.
The spy is political. Oh my. Oh my gosh.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's definitely going to be fun. What else did we have? Fury. One
of my favorite. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Kari.
No. I just wanted to reiterate how we know Maria's dead because we saw her getting flown in her casket with her mom there.
No, I don't know if David knows the story. I think I told the two of you, but I was watching the episode and Johnny could kind of hear my reactions.
Yeah,
and he saw me
Mario
watch.
Started. I'm just hearing this shit.
I'm just rambling off casually, like the old man that I am. And then Maria dies, and I could hear Johnny kind of like turns his chair to hear what I'm going to say, and I was like, "Damn." And he's like, what do you mean? Like, damn? I'm like, no, she's not dead. I'm like, she's not dead, dude. Like, I didn't see her body or anything. And then 2 seconds after that, they wheel her casket off the plane. And I was like, okay.
We still don't see a body.
Yeah, where's the body?
It could be an empty casket. I don't know.
But, exactly.
Comes back in episode 6, looks at the camera, and she's like,
hey.
Surprise,
I mean, we could still get like a... We could still get like a flashback related to her because we saw her we saw her mom. So like I'm thinking maybe her mom is going to have a bigger part to play maybe in the next coming episodes, or maybe hopefully it wasn't just to have that one conversation with Nick. I hope there's more to it, but
and I'm not the type of person to go like, oh, I want all the cameos, I want all the superheroes to show up. Like, no, I don't want that. But like genuinely, like for something like the funeral of Maria Hill, where was Hawkeye?
Hodge. He's chilling on his farm. He's just Christmas.
Chilling on his farm with his kids, with Kate Bishop.
No one pulling up to any. That is a weird thing for me in the MCU that like no one is pulling up to the funerals.
Right.
Like, I still feel a little sour that there were like no black superheroes at T'Challa's funeral. Just no Sam.
No Bucky even. I mean, Bucky makes sense after the whole Zemo thing, I guess.
Yeah.
They didn't want him there.
You make an interesting point, and I'm not going to go too off topic, but I did see something where Samuel L. Jackson said, "I'm trying to understand why Nick Fury has never been to Wakanda."
Right? I mean, he is a government agent. He is
they don't
a
trust
spy.
his ass.
Exactly. It's hard to trust people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He just wants to be there, man. He just wants to pull up.
But the thing I was going to say earlier is that another Glub Shadow moment, I guess, is the fact that we see a moment where Emilia Clarke is just looking at a computer, right? And you see them listing off DNA and just like super powered beast individuals and stuff like that. So we see Extremis. We got Frost Beast from the end of Thor: The Dark World, because one of the Frost Beasts came through from Jotunheim. We got Groot DNA, and then there was one more I can't remember for the life of me.
Extremis.
There we go. Call Obsidian. That's what it was. We had one of the Black Order there, so I'm like, damn. I guess we're gonna see the origins of the Super Skrulls now. Right? Which is going to be really interesting.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah.
It's so cool. Yes. And I love it so much. But
getting to that, because, again, from the first episode, I thought that Gaia had double-crossed Talos, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, man. She's really into Gravik's bullshit, Yeah. But then we get into the second episode and we find out that she actually didn't in the dark about that double crossing as well. Yeah. And then we see her like, okay, what? Especially after her dad her and her dad had a conversation when she found out her mom had died, and that most likely Gravik had something to do with it. Mm-hmm. You see her whole demeanor change now, And we see now her being more suspicious, and now she's starting to try to find out like really what's going on. What is it that Gravik is not telling her? And that's when we see her go in and find that lab.
Yeah.
With that big ass machine and stuff like that. It's like, holy shit, what are they working on? You know?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, because I'm just Johnny's like my consultant on everything Marvel at this point. But correct me if I'm wrong. But Skrulls, with their shape-shifting abilities and whatnot, they can kind of like do certain things like fly and whatnot. But they could never really mimic the powers of the people they were copying unless they were Super Skrulls, right?
Pretty much, yeah. In the comics, it was very much the case that you had to be a very specific form of Skrulls in order to do that. So now I guess they're going to try to like do it through like a machine or something like that is my assumption.
Yeah, because we see in that one trailer where Gravik kind of like stretches his arms out and it looks like vines, like Groot vines, right? So the machine must give them like that edge where they can really emulate to like a molecular level, which is an interesting concept. And I mean, obviously the Fantastic Four are not involved yet. They can't do the whole like, I'm going to steal your powers thing. But this is, I think it's a good way. And again, within the medium and the adaptation of the MCU and that mythology, this works. It works pretty well.
That's really cool. So they're doing a Palpatine. They're doing this strand casting thing. That's
pretty much.
What a way to bring Robert Downey Jr. back if they somehow.
Oh my god!
Oh, David,
he's a strand cut.
Somehow Iron Man has returned.
Andy Machete wants to know your location.
David, why? No, stop
he will buy that script out off of you.
Yeah, too. I put some weird voodoo into the air.
Touch wood.
David, no.
He's getting real work now. He's doing Oppenheimer. Leave him alone.
Oh man, but that was really cool. Like, you know, Johnny said that she found all of that stuff. Like, we got all these glove shadows mentioned and stuff, and then we get the ending for episode 2, where we find out that Fury is not only married, but he's married to a Skrull,
which is like, damn, okay, interesting. Where's this gonna go? I didn't even catch her name, if I'm being honest.
I don't think they said it.
I don't think they did.
That's the thing. I tried going back in the credits, but I'm like, I couldn't see anything.
I don't think
not me reaching for my phone now. Like, this is out on Disney.
Yeah,
Plus.
no, like just Google this real quick.
If only.
Also, have we seen that scientist before? Her name is Rosa Dalton.
Not to my knowledge.
Is she something new? Not in the
comics
blondie
and stuff? With the Skrulls?
The scientist. Her name is Rosa
Dalton.
I don't know.
It's not a familiar name. If she's in the comics, she's not a relevant comic book character.
Okay. I mean, at least
not a comic
seems like
character.
she's going to be relevant here in the show, obviously, because she's
whipping up Super Skrulls, man.
Which now begs the question, is she a Skrull in place of a human, or is she a human there who's been coerced into helping the Skrulls?
Oh,
I'm assuming she's a Skrull.
Oh, she was being
mean. She was being mean to Gaia.
She was so into it. She was like,
giving him the side eye. She was like, "What are you doing here?"
The Karen look.
Karen look. She had the blonde hair and everything.
Yeah,
exactly. Just needs the shortcut.
You need me to call Gravik?
I'd like to talk to Gravik, please.
Yeah, but she was really mean though. But she was really into it, so she's taking her job really. But then, and of course, the freaking Skrull Council. Holy shit!
Yeah.
So, wow. So these are like really high-powered freaking people in crazy leadership. Like, they're big leaders in the world. And
you know what I was hoping for though a little bit, to find out that the French representative from Wakanda Forever was also a Skrull. I freaking hated that lady just from the few seconds she was on screen back in that movie. I'm like, how perfect would it be if we found out she was an evil Skrull just trying to overtake the world?
Probably just like
perfect.
Would make sense.
Why wouldn't they want vibranium?
Mm-hmm. That vibranium Skrulls. They can turn into.
We shouldn't be writing for them right now. There's a writer's strike.
Oh, yeah,
you don't think anybody from Wakanda is a Skrull? I mean, I don't think so. That they're way too
highly doubted.
Too fortified, I think.
I don't know. There's a bunch of Wakanda operatives outside of Wakanda, right?
Oh yeah, maybe those guys. But I feel like no, because they have to have the thing in the inner lip. They have to have the
that's
thing.
right.
But then it
Do
begs
you
the question,
think
can
that
the Skrulls
translates?
replicate it?
Yeah, you don't think they replicate that?
They're able to do
don't know.
clothes.
That's true.
If they can
Which
sim
begs
a
the
toque,
question: are they all naked when they do the simming?
pretty much, I think.
Okay,
That or
okay.
their clothes are
Okay.
unstable molecules.
Holographic clothing.
Well, because
Alright.
you see graphic
Interesting.
changing, and then they just even the outfits change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a dime, just all around the courtyard. Yeah.
Homeboy was like one after the other. I was like, damn, graphic.
We
I
need a
am curious how
biologist. Where's Sawyer?
Yeah, I know. We need Sawyer.
She's currently sick.
I know.
Oh
she
no, it's a Skrull plot. Damn it.
is. It's a Skrull. They don't want us to find out.
They don't want us to know.
And then, of course, we got Sonya again, showing us how much of a badass she is.
Bro.
Oh my god!
The finger, I jumped. I was like,
She's like, wow, that confirms that. I'm like,
She
what
did
the
it
fuck?
like no hesitation, no like. She was just like so calm about it too, like so
No.
cheery.
I jumped. Like, I sound like, you know, like I sound like a kid on a roller coaster getting too scared of like a little bump. But they cut the finger and they didn't cut away. I was like, whoa, oh. Like, I was like, no way. In a Marvel thing? On Disney? What the kids watch? They did that? I was like, oh, no. Oh.
I mean, apparently we are getting more rated R content from Marvel now.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Blade's rated R, Deadpool 3's rated R, of course, and some other projects I can't recall right now. But yeah.
No,
That
yeah,
was
that was a
really
great
cool.
scene. She was
awesome.
came in, had the dog in her. She was like, "Oh, there's an escape hatch. All right, bet. Cool." Did her thing, hopped out,
And
crawls.
you know how that's how you know she knows her shit because the first thing she's like, "Where's the escape page?" Because I already know they're coming for him.
See here,
So
that makes
I
me
need
think
to
like,
have-
is she an independent Skrull right now?
She's
Like, is she
Veronica.
separate from both parties of
She's the
Skrulls that
queen.
we're aware of? That's what
She's
I was
the queen
thinking. I'm
Skrull.
like, she's got to be Queen
Queen
Varanki.
Skrull.
Because like, how else would she know that the Skrulls are coming? And then be able to just just casually walk through and go like, all right, let's just see if you're a Skrull. Perfect, done.
British people.
Hey,
British people.
she definitely got that real, cheesy British vibe to her.
Yeah,
So
she's having fun. She got the Momoa and Fast X energy. She's having a good
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yeah. I just love her. Like she's just like she knows that when she walks in anywhere, she's a big boss.
She's just sad.
That was really cool. Yeah. All right, guys. So we got through the first 2 episodes. Again, super crazy, super amazing. What are you guys' expectations or theories or thoughts of what else is going to come next now? Tate, what are your thoughts?
Man, Marvel has a track record sometimes of doing really good halves of the show, and then the back half is kind of like up and down and wavy, which, I mean, there's so many good shows. You get your Lokis and your Falcon, your Winter Soldiers, but some of the shows, they kind of start to veer down in quality from a really strong start. So I'm just hoping it ticks the boxes and it has a strong landing. I don't need clear-cut answers. I'm fine with some ambiguity, but I'm just excited to see Fury's journey, where that progresses. The Skrull side of things with the whole machine and the powers and whatnot, that kind of just feels like supplementary and like feels the need for action. But I'm just interested to see like where the mythology goes, where the Skrulls are going to go, unpacking more of their story, doing the parallels to like the real world contexts of what refugees go through. That's the stuff I'm really excited to see. Where it'll go, I don't know. This thing feels, I think, this is where I kind of differ. I would say it's not necessarily Marvel's Andor in the sense that Andor is sometimes feels so afraid to be Star Wars that it feels very in its own little pocket. But Secret Invasion as a strength is so it's so committed to being connected to the larger MCU mythology, and I think that's what really makes it stand out. And it's kind of a bit of an improvement over Andor in that aspect. I think that is a strength. I'm excited to see how that will influence the mythology in return, just in the same way that Captain Marvel has influenced it, and seeing how that shapes the universe going forward. For me, this feels like, for the first time since 2021, this feels like an event series. This feels like it will have ramifications that really are going to cross over into the future. And knowing that Nick Fury's in the Marvels, is he in the Marvels? Is that Nick Fury? What's happening?
Yeah.
That's big questions.
True. I completely forgot he was in the Marvels for a moment.
yeah.
I'm like, right.
Yeah.
No, he goes to find Kamala.
Yeah.
Or is that Taylor's going to find Kamala?
Oh, we'll find out.
Never. Is that guy? I don't know.
Maybe that's why
Danny, what
Maria's
about you?
pissed with Carol, because she just stopped trying to help the Skrulls and then this divulged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Johnny, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm most looking forward to genuinely the story of the Skrulls because, as I mentioned, it very much parallels real world experiences of being a refugee, an immigrant in a new country that, kind of hates you in some sense. And just overall, Talos, genuinely, just even after the first Captain Marvel movie, I'm like, yo, this guy's entertaining. I want more of him. So the fact that we get more of Ben Mendelsohn now is really nice.
Yeah.
He's just so charismatic. He's so entertaining to watch. But of course, Nick Fury as well. Love my boy. We adore Nick Fury. And seeing how he comes out at the end of this, because part of me really does want Nick Fury to come out of it like better than he was before, more confident than he was before, and just accepting the fact that maybe he doesn't need to have a control or knowledge of everything, but to some extent I kind of want him to lose a little bit, just because we've only ever seen him at a height of power almost, except for like maybe Winter Soldier. But even then he's like, no, I saw this coming. I was able to cut my way through the ground. And I was able to get to you and Natasha fast enough that you guys were able to help me take down S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just, seeing him genuinely brought all the way down and maybe staying there for a little bit is just intriguing and fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You need the drama. You need the
I need
Spice.
traumatized people.
Yes.
Sadly, it's a POC, though.
David, what about you?
Really, for this show, I want it to keep with the grounded storytelling and just give me just not too many, but a couple of interesting twists. And I kind of want an ending to the show that feels like an ending, but also serves the higher narrative of the MCU. Just so because there's a lot of times where the ending of the show is just leaves you wanting more too much. It's I want to feel satisfied at the end of this show, at least a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, not too open-ended. I get that. And me, I think I'm also gonna go with the Fury route. I want to see his story. I want to see how he has to basically struggle through everything. He already started episode 1, lost Maria, lost people's, lost Rhodey as support. Sonya basically told him, listen, I'm sorry, but you're useless now, So everybody's basically turning his back on him. Maria was the one that had his back, and she's not there anymore. Ross is not there anymore either.
Or is he?
I think he's still alive in the MCU. He's got to still be alive.
He pretty is, but I don't know if Fury has him as a support. Even if he is still around,
yeah, I don't think they've spoken to each other on screen.
They can find him in a pod somewhere.
Yeah.
They can find him in a pod somewhere at some point,
They'll be like, look, it's Agent Ross. And then Fury's like, who the fuck is this guy?
And he just checks her shit, and Maria left me notes.
But I think they do keep them, though, because we saw the humans that they were they do keep them. Yeah. So if Ross has to be somewhere. They're not just going to get rid of him.
So
Especially
was that Okoye who rescued him at the end of Wakanda Forever then?
There you go. So, because, basically, if they wanted to freaking imitate Ross again, they have him right there. All right, next, who wants to be Ross now? But
that's a good point on why they might keep them, actually.
Yeah, in case the one gets killed, then they do the next one. So
another one.
So, and I want to see what's gonna happen. Who's Fury gonna go to now? I mean, who else is gonna help him out? Who does he have to call? Where's Captain Marvel? Is she gonna come and help him out and stuff? So
you're gonna pull out his little pager and be like beep beep
and be like dee dee again.
Maybe Monica Rambeau.
That would be gas. That would be so gas. Oh my lord.
That's why they're together in the Marvels.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I know they're all gonna work together. So.
And then end of WandaVision, we see a Skrull and the post credits.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Monica, right?
They need you up there.
Just our friend up there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh shit, Johnny's cooking. Wait, hold up.
Yeah. So.
Because Carol will be doing her own thing, and then he can be like, "Oh, you want Captain Marvel? Here she is," and then it's Monica, the original Captain Marvel.
She's dealing with Skrulls, as we see in the Marvels trailer.
Yeah.
No, not
And
Skrulls. Kree. My bad.
Yeah. Well, Ms. Marvel's is from. I'm assuming is taking place way before Secret Invasion because Fury looks he doesn't look all crazy unless at the end of Secret Invasion he's like, I'm gonna shave, I'm back to my old self, and then we're going back up there.
It's a whole glow up
That's
montage.
what happens right at episode 3. He just gets all clean shaven because he's finally home with his wife, and she's like, "Go clean up."
Like,
he was kissing her, and I'm like, dude, like that's a lot of beard, man. I don't know.
It's roughy.
I like a bit of beard, but I mean,
but yeah, no, I have high hopes for this show again because we already saw in the first 2 episodes they're taking chances and stuff, and I hope they continue and are not going to be scared of what are the fans going to say or what if they're going to get mad. Well, let them get mad. You know,
I mean, it's all
surprise
filmed.
us.
I'm assuming it's all been edited.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like they're going to be, but I want them to continue that. Yeah. This is going to wrap up this episode of Temple of Geek Podcast. We want to thank everyone who tuned in today and especially our guests for being with us today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter by using the handle Temple of Geek. Do you want to check out some of our other episodes or shows? Why don't you head over to templeofgeek.com where you will find all sorts of content that pertain to the world of geek. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. And just real quick again, remind everyone where they can find you on the socials. Tate?
Oh, you can find me on the socials at Star Wars Fact Guy. That is fact with just no S. It's just one fact, only one fact. YouTube, you can find me at Star Wars Fact Guy, and Instagram, Star Wars Fact Guy. But don't forget the underscores on either side for underscore gang.
Awesome. Johnny?
Everyone can find me as Marvelous Johnny on TikTok with 2 L's or Marvelous_Jonathan if you want to go with the direct username. On Twitter, I just go by Marvelous_John though because there's a character limit. And Instagram's also the same as my TikTok. And those are the ones you really need to know.
Awesome. And David?
I am Xanatos1138 on all social media, but primarily TikTok and Twitter. That is Xanatos with an X because I am extra. That's me.
Not extreme.
And awesome. You guys can find me at on Twitter, on TikTok, and on Instagram as Star Warstia. Again, thank you so much, and that's it for this episode.
Please follow us on Twitter at Temple of Geek. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Temple of Geek. And remember to visit templeofgeek.com, your one stop for all things geek.
Goodbye.
This will conclude our transmission.